Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Hogarth's Global Astrology. Know your planets, know yourself, or know your nation, know yourself. The two are interchangeable. And welcome to of course, the next installment of Thursday Fry Up. And oh my goodness, it's just extraordinary, isn't it? Each day, it's just more and more kind of crazy, more and more kind of breaking news, just a never-ending stream of stuff that is just unfolding. I have your questions here, got your questions here, and I made extra notes as well of things to mention. And I can see as well that a few of you have already given me the updated, the updated news. So I was going to say this anyway. So I want to talk a little bit about Elon, Tesla. Apparently, Tesla are looking for a new CEO. So of course they are. This was bound to happen. In the video description, I have linked a video that I did, which was the Greed of Oligarchs series. I need to add to that actually a bit more. I've done Elon Musk and I've done Jeff Bezos, but I did Elon a few months ago. Yeah. And in it, I was trying to find the exact thing, but it's quite a long video, so I couldn't find it all the way through. But in that video somewhere, or I've certainly said in other videos, is that Elon would sacrifice Tesla for SpaceX, that he would basically choose his government contracts over the Tesla contracts. But it also seems like that the leadership at Tesla have decided that they would rather be without Elon. And remember too what I was talking about, as you know, I've been talking about ad nauseum. I've been talking about the star Algol, and I said this is the star of what? Beheadings or career endings, people's careers being brought to an end, or things being brought abruptly to an end. And if we look here, Lucy Clare says, "Hi Hogarth, National Security Advisor of Walz." This is Mike Walz, I think, has been moved from his position to the ambassadorship to the UN. Marco Rubio will now take on the national security position. Walz will miss seeing Putin. Indeed. So you see, there is that removal. Yeah, that sudden, like I said, it's Uranus is sudden shocks and surprises. Algol is about beheadings, endings, betrayal, backstabbings. All of this stuff. This is why we've seen this strong theme of betrayal basically since the summer of 2024, when Uranus came up to cross the star Algol. Just a reminder again, that is when Biden had to step down. Trump was almost assassinated, and then there was some other little kind of weaker attempts, wasn't there? Then Uranus stood still, reversed over the star, retrograded over the star. So then we had another betrayal and upset and shock and surprises on the election. Yeah, which was, so Uranus was on that star 5th and 6th of November, literally exactly on that star. Trump basically admitted in the White House that, yeah, we kind of rigged it. So, yeah, I'm here now. Here for the Olympics, here for the World Cup. He. Yeah, nothing was done. Nothing was done. You just think, oh my God. Anyway, then Uranus retrograded into Aries, stood still, and then started going direct again and crossed over the star. Now we're getting the third crossing. So it has crossed over the star, but the energy is still very strong. Up until around about June, once Uranus gets a wider orb wider than 5 degrees from Algol, then we might start seeing things calm down a little bit. Yeah, but then we're going to have the sun crossing over it, Venus will cross over it, Mercury will cross over it, the faster planets that, stick closer to the sun. So we're not quite out of the woods quite yet. So Mike Walz, yeah, gone. Yeah, they obviously had to sack him. It should have happened sooner. Someone had to be the fall guy. Obviously, Duc Larange doesn't want to give up his favorite, alcoholic. I mean, look, alcoholism, of course, is a sickness at the end of the day. Actually, I don't want to mock it, actually, but we know about Pete Hegseth, and he's just deranged, and he's doing all sorts of madness. But when it comes to Trump favorites, If you've got a background on Fox, yeah, that helps you keep your job, yeah. But I mean, Tim Walz had to go anyway because he was the one that CC'd in, you know, the journalist. Like I was saying, Tesla are now looking for a new CEO. So of course, Elon, in a way, is being what? Beheaded, removed. Yeah, his career changed. In the video that I did about on the oligarchy, I talk about his 12th house not only being addictions, but also as well being endings, but also as well this connection he has with foreign governments, because he's got Saturn and Venus in the 12th house in sidereal Taurus. So it's giving him a lot of gains, i.e. like Saturn is a planet of government, but it's also giving him losses as well. And as you know, I've said, you know, for a little while, he will sacrifice Tesla in order to keep his government contracts, or Tesla, it turns out, will sacrifice him. And he also as well, I said back in the oligarchy video as well, before this became mainstream news, I said Elon wants to create his own army of cyborgs in his own image. They say he's got, allegedly, I think it's officially 14, but they say he's actually got 20 children. And they're saying that he's potentially wants to get, I think, is it 2,000? Something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he wants to be in the thousands. He wants to be legion. So he's an absolute diabolical nutcase, which we all know. A bit of a controversial question that's come in here, which is M Dizzy Lizzie says, hi Hogarth, question, Shady Vance met with Pope Francis shortly before he died. Did Shady have anything to do with unaliving Pope Francis? We are living in the twilight zone. I wouldn't go that far, but in the UK we call it a Liz Truss. Yeah. So JD Vance did a Liz Truss. You'll remember Liz Truss, our former prime minister, who lasted, what was it, 43 days, something like that. She went to visit the Queen, and the Queen promptly died the next day. Yeah. So in the UK, we're saying JD Vance has basically done a Liz Truss. Is he anything to do? Is it sinister in that sense? I would say no, but everything is energy. Everything is energy. It's a bad omen. Yeah, of course it's a bad omen. I knew when the Queen died that Liz Truss's premiership was doomed. It was doomed. Yeah. It's literally because it's like you're giving the kiss of death to someone. Likewise as well for JD Vance as well. It just doesn't bode. It just doesn't bode well. And the cards that you would have seen that I have pulled for him and others have pulled for him, you know, they don't look good. One thing that is interesting though, which, you know, Trump administration may call it a win, is that the US Ukraine have reached a mineral deal, apparently minerals and natural resources. On the Times, they're saying that that Putin is furious and upset. Well, anything that, of course, helps secure Ukraine. So let's see what happens with that. So that, in a way, Putinshka may see that as a betrayal of him. Yeah, the Trump administration doing a deal with Ukraine, our goal. Yeah, betrayal again. Do you see? But maybe on this time for Putinshka. Yeah. And oh yes, to give a social security update in terms of the details, and then I'll get into your questions, because sorry, 1 minute. Let's go here, get my phone. And just to give some clarification, when we were talking about on Hogelish yesterday, it came up as a topic. So Niger, this is a shout out to you. She works a lot with these things, and she gave some clarification, and I did a copy of what she said and just put in my notes. So no, I can't find the bloody notes. Typical, isn't it? Oh, Jesus, what have I done? Is this it here? No. Oh, let me just go into, let me just find, oh, now I'm getting prompts coming up. 1 minute. Let me just find this thing, because I just want to say it just to clarify. Here we are. So I've got it here. I've got this. I did a copy and paste. So I just want to read this out. So she said, I watched the show this evening and there's some misunderstanding about Social Security. You can get Social Security survivor benefits if your parent dies. If your parents die. So that's the young kids that are on Social Security, which of course we know the regime also wants to cut. You can get Social Security survivor benefit if a parent dies. So I'm repeating myself there. You can get Social Security if you are disabled at any age, so you don't have to be 65. You can start getting Social Security starting at 62. Yeah. But when you start getting it at 62, I think you have to take quite a big chunk out of it. You get penalized quite a bit. But you can't get Medicare until you're 65. So there you are. Can't get Medicare till you're 65. You can get Medicare if you have been on Social Security for 24 months at any capacity. So you see, so if you've been on Social Security for 24 months, and you can then you can get it. So that means as long as you've been on it, you can claim it regardless of your age. Also, you can automatically get Medicare if you have renal failure or ALS. I think there's one more I can't remember. She says you can be eligible for Medicare and Medicaid. So that just gives some clarity there to what we discussed yesterday. All right, let's dive in. Let's see who's here. Someone's saying, hooray, hooray, it's the 1st of May. Oh, the weather has been gorgeous here, folks. Oh, it was so nice. I went and got some ice cream, had a lovely walk in the park. Bunny Young saying, I appreciate you. Thank you. You too, Bunny. Patrick is saying, hi, y'all, or hi, all. Hello, Patrick. Devin is saying, hi, Hogarth, love and light. And then Bunny Young saying he was sacked but now up for UN ambassador. Yeah, you know what it's like with these people. They tend to fail forward. They move incompetent people around. Which reminds me, so watch out on Saturday when I do my video, my reflections video. I'm going to make that a bit of a special about, and again, according to Machiavelli, why stupid people rise to power. Yeah. Brilliant little documentary that that was shared with me. It's about 33 minutes long. That's not going to be the whole show, but I'll sample bits of it because this really, really helps us understand why we're in this sort of cacostocracy situation in the US. But it explains the whole planet, all of humanity, why stupid people tend to get to management positions, etc., and stuff like that. And it's because of certain cognitive biases and the nature of incompetence and incompetent systems, which I think is really worth you guys knowing about. Hey, Lenith is here saying good evening to all from South Florida. And then someone's here saying, Dorothy saying, thank you, love your videos. And I Am the Warrior says, holy crap, news coming out by the minute. I know, it's just crazy. Mary's saying, when Elon leaves, will he have all the information he needs already in his mainframe computer? Yes. Yes. And thanks for that message, because it's just prompted me to remember something. And I think Rachel Maddow was talking about this on MSNBC. And she says it looks like basically with Elon's help, they're wanting to collate everyone's information, consolidate it into one place, and basically do social profiling on every citizen in the United States, potentially even maybe having some kind of credit score type thing that they have in China. So, which of course is well known. Everyone knows about that. But it seems at least, obviously, you know, you can't speak out against the government in China, but at least the Chinese government is interested in you having a job and a decent standard of living. Yeah. You know, it's not perfect, of course. It's 1.4 billion people. But if we think of how many people in China have been lifted out of poverty over the last 40 years, is absolutely astonishing. So not that I necessarily agree with it. I don't believe in social credit scores and stuff like that, but at least the Chinese can say they're getting something for their money. You know, with DOGE and Duck L'Orange, there's going to be no such thing as that. And now, of course, Trump is admitting as well, like, oh, maybe you don't get that extra Barbie for Christmas and all of that stuff. So I might kind of show a little video on that. But let's dive into the questions. And there's a first one that's come in, and it's about India and Pakistan. So apparently there's tensions there. I've not had a chance to read in on this one in terms of news, because so much news is happening right now. It's ridiculous, isn't it? But this is coming from Alexandra. And they say, hi, Hoagie, India and Pakistan are looking very tense right now. Do you see this escalating? Thanks so much. Nick Minks also asked as well yesterday, but I didn't have enough time to put in the show. So I thought, let's open with that one. Then we've got a question on Poilievre, his future. Of course, he was running up against Mark Carney and lost his own seat in the election. Mike Walz, of course. Will Congress step up? And a question on Marjory Taylor Green as well. We've not read on her in a while. And as you know, I refer to Marjory Taylor Green as, it's an old school name I made for her up years ago. Leaky douchebag blowhard. That's what I call her. And thus she has proven to be, hasn't she not? All right, let's look at India and Pakistan. What's going on there? Tensions building. And of course, with Trump upending the world order, it also creates power vacuums. It also creates opportunities, particularly for conflict and stuff like that, because of course America is viewed very much as the world's policeman, and because of Trump's sheer lack of interest, pretty much, people are going to start positioning, yeah, particularly as this regime has shown great incompetence, and of course they can't keep things secure. And of course, Mike Waltz is a bit of the fall guy for that. But the reputational damage, of course, is not good. See, India, Pakistan, what's going on there? What's going on there? What's going on with India, Pakistan? And then we'll look at, like I said, Poilievre after this. See what's going on. India, Pakistan. Interesting. Strangely positive cards. I'm not quite sure why the cards are so positive, but maybe that is a good thing in the sense of, because of course India's got nuclear weapons, and I think Pakistan has got nuclear weapons as well, if I remember correctly. So let's see here. As someone's saying here, Brenda's saying, wonder what Putin will bring out about F-45. Yeah, we'll have to see. There'll be some revenge in there somewhere. All right, so India, Pakistan. So maybe this is just talking about the energy overall here, but there actually, I don't see any war cards here. No war cards. So I hope it doesn't escalate. But, you know, and again, I've not had a chance to research the story, but if we look here, we have the Three of Wands. And as you know, the one suite I associate with business. It's not just passion, but it's also business, commerce, stuff like that. And here, quite literally, we see you've got the merchant here waiting for the ships to come in. So this is literally talking about imports and exports explicitly. This can also talk as well about tariffs. So I mentioned that in terms of this tariff war, how it's changing the power dynamics around the world. So there is a factor here. There's some kind of vying for positioning with the tariffs upending the world order. This is also a factor which is raising tensions, yeah, between countries, because obviously if we think Apple, for example, is moving its manufacturing now mainly to India. So from China to India, which is obviously a boost for India. Pakistan may be feeling like, well, you know, we're being kind of a bit left behind. You see the calculus of things changes, but this is telling me imports and exports are a factor in this conflict. Like I said, I've not had a chance to research the story. If we look here in the obstacle position, we have the 10 of Cups. However, if the first card is positive, this card is reinforcing, and the 3 of Wands is quite a positive card. It's certainly not negative. So if we look here, what's this card talking about? This is talking about family. Yeah, the ideal family. Here it's all rosy and bright. You see here the kids are dancing, etc., and you know they've got their arm up, and it's all looking rosy and good. Now, when we're talking about the GOP, we often refer to this as the false family. But for me, this is having a kind of a historical context here. India and Pakistan used to be the same country once upon a time. And of course, it was after British rule that it was divided. And basically, the north of India was more kind of like Muslim. And the south in general was more Hindu. Oversimplification, forgive me guys for the oversimplification, don't have time to go into the nitty-gritty of the conflicts between Pakistan and India since separation, but that's essentially what happened. So in a way it's like a fight between a family. Yeah, there were devastating scenarios when families, literally when the border was drawn, and I think it was drawn by some general's wife because she had nice handwriting. Apparently, I mean, you can't make this stuff up anyway. But the point is that this is a rivalry of kin, of family. It's kind of going down on that level. It's like almost like a sibling or family rivalry. Yeah, that's how I'm interpreting that. If we look here, though, we do get the 4 of Wands. When we're reading on American politics, this can often stand in for the White House, but the 4 of Wands is also about reaching a milestone. It talks about success. You see here, this is also a wedding, a marriage. It's a very positive card in general. It talks about building foundations, building something solid. So even though there is tension, I mean, because it's a positive card, it's very difficult to, you know, to put a negative spin on this card, particularly as the first one is so positive. I'm going to say something which might seem a little bit outrageous at this time, but is there a kind of a coming together? Maybe after arguments and conflict, there might be a greater collaboration between the two countries. And part of why I say that as well is look at the next card. If we look here, it's the 3 of Pentacles, which is the card of collaboration. You see here, the person is working on the plans, and here you've got the person who's doing the work. But this is a card of cordiality. It talks about collaboration. The shadow of this card can talk about corruption and stuff like that, but you have to read the cards together. And you see here, these so far are very positive. Yeah, very positive. And then look at the outcome card. It's the Ace of Cups, which talks about harmony, love, bliss, cup overflowing, peace. So I hope I'm not completely wrong. I mean, if I'm completely wrong on this, then I'll be wrong. But as you know, I trust the cards and I have to say what I see. It looks like this might be tension for now, but they might work something out. Maybe something to do with the trade tariffs. Maybe Pakistan is able to get in on the action some kind of way, or there's some kind of agreement, some kind of reaching a milestone. But it's like a family. It's a family thing. But you see here the emotions here again, you know, positive emotions and collaboration and working together. So yeah. What can I say? They got incredibly positive cards. I hope it works out. But there was no Tower. There was no Death card. There was no 4 of Swords. So it looks like from that, it will work out. I could be entirely wrong, but I have to say what I see, don't I? So thanks so much for that question. Positive cards. I mean, very positive cards, which is almost a bit spooky, isn't it? You know, it's not what you would expect to come out. Someone's saying here, please deliver us from this fresh hell. Yeah, I know. God, it's just madness, isn't it? Zafia is saying, hello from New Jersey. It's beautiful here also. And someone's saying, Joe is saying, but I'm so ready and eager for some crazy justice, and just as crazy saying restitution from all this MAGA premeditated chaos and self-serving insanity. Yes, but it's cracking. Yeah, the cult hasn't completely broken down, of course, but it's cracking. Do you remember how I said Saturn will be delivering, giving his reality checks to everyone. Now it's starting to get really real. Imagine once we start, it's 1st of May now, of course. They said the shells will start emptying around about the middle of May. So let's just say June, July, let's say around 4th of July. Apparently, they're having to ration fireworks. So they're trying to stockpile fireworks for next year's 4th of July, which of course is 250 years of the creation of the United States. I know other astrologers use other charts, but that's the birthday. We all know it. It's the most famous birthday in the whole world. They're saying they're trying to stockpile the fireworks now, so they've got something to shoot, yeah, on the day. So what's it going to be like 4th of July this year? What, just a few kind of Catherine wheels and stuff? It's just, the knock-on effects are just astonishing. Knock-on effects are just astonishing. I think it's just absolutely bonkers, isn't it? Let's get on to the next question. Otherwise, I'll just segue. Oh, look at this. That's a brilliant quote. Susan says here, enlightenment is not imagining figures of light, but making the darkness conscious. Yes, it is true. It is true. And then J Cat Lady says, Hogarth, you were right on that name for Marjory Taylor Green. Yeah, I called her that years ago. 1 or 2 people thought I was being a bit harsh at the time. Don't think so now. Yeah, leaky douchebag blowhard. That's what I call her. She's just outrageous, grotesque, I think is the word that fits her. Oh, so let's look at Poilievre. So this is coming from MS Debin. Yeah. And they ask, what does the future hold for Mr. Poilievre and Carney? Will Alberta separate and become its own identity like Quebec? We'll have to see. I think from what I understand, I think the Liberals, I think they even managed it there as well, didn't they? But certainly Canada is united. But let's see. Let's do a little read on Poilievre. And I think we should do a bit of Shakespeare on him as well, actually. I've not done Shakespeare on him. All right, what cards does Poilievre get? Do a little bit of Shakespeare, see what the bard thinks of this guy. At least he gave a decent concession speech after he, got his thrashing. Imagine that, losing your own seat. Wow. That is just the sin of sins at the Jezebel Inn in politics. Lose your own seat, you're finished, basically. Your career's sort of like over. Of course. Interesting. All right, so with Poilievre. Oh, surprise, surprise. Look at the card that comes up. Yeah, we get here the 9 of Pentacles. Look, he's not going to starve. Yeah, he's not going to starve. I think he's got quite a lot of cash and all of that kind of stuff. This is the card of having everything that you need. But remember, the shadow of this card, well, the way I interpret it, is vanity. Yeah, and that was one of the things that really came across to me when I saw like interviews of him. I was just like, this guy is so vain. I saw him when he was just eating this apple one time and was giving it a whole swagger. It's like, dude, you're being interviewed. You shouldn't be eating while you're being interviewed. And I just thought, look at the arrogance of this guy. Inwardly, I thought to myself, I hope he just loses his seat. So he's not going to starve, but he is a vain man. And this is also a card as well of being compromised, being bought, because this card can also be the courtesan or prostitute card as well. So that's what he is. And particularly as well, when you see his obstacle position card. There we are. The devil. So this is the card of what? Corruption. Yeah, corruption. But not just that, it's vices. It can talk about mental illness. It can talk about sickness of all kinds. It talks about people who have severe attachments that are so strong that they compromise themselves. But if you look here, now, as you know, I've put the bikini, they're not so naked anymore. The algorithm didn't like it. But these chains are actually loose. Yeah, these chains are loose. So they can be taken off. And the whole point with the devil card is, I think this was him riding his luck by connecting himself with Trump, yeah, with Duck L'Orange, and it's backfired because Duck L'Orange only looks after Duck L'Orange. And really, as they were saying in the Guardian debate, it's because of Trump that Carney won, yeah. He was like 20 points behind. I mean, and obviously, you know, he's played it absolutely right, and he's tapped into the true, genuine sentiment of Canadians and stuff like that. But the Trump factor was a big factor. So he chained himself, yeah, to Duck L'Orange. Oops. Oh, dear. Now he's lost his own seat. If we look here, look at this. We got here the 7 of Wands, him trying to defend his position. He's lost his seat now, so this is probably more fighting for his career. He's probably thinking what it is that he needs to do. The Wands factor is here as well, so there could be an element there of mercantile, of business, particularly when you see the next card, which you see here. This is the card of the generous benefactor. Again, the wealthy merchant. This is probably once his ships have actually come in and now he's got the money to dish out. So it could be that Poilievre is maybe looking for some kind of handouts, maybe some other kind of government jobs, but probably not government. My instinct is it's probably going to be the corporate world, something like that, because it is Pentacles, because he's going to have to do something. He's still a young man. His life is not over. His future in politics is probably over for the foreseeable future, because when you lose your seat, that's it. You've been kicked out by the electorate. So he's going to have to do something else. So, most of these people, they tend to go into finance, don't they? Or maybe he becomes the CEO or in some charitable cause or something like that. But he's going to need to find the money elsewhere. And then we get here the Knight of Swords, which talks about, this can be a very aggressive card, but it talks about going forward at pace. It can also be a bit of a cruel card and a bit impulsive. But what this says to me is that he's really kind of looking to move on at pace. So I would see potentially a career change for him, which, you don't have to be a psychic to work out, because he's lost his seat. But that's what the cards seem to be saying. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. There is over 600 of you here now, 631. Thank you, much appreciated. Please be sure as well to like and subscribe and press the bell notification and share. And like this video, subscription is free. But when you like it, it helps for these videos to reach a wider audience. So much appreciated. All right, let's go into the next question. Let's do it. Now we're going to be talking about Congress. Oh, Congress and the Senate. Kaylee saying that's the best MTG nickname I've ever heard. Love it. Yeah. Leaky douchebag blowhard. That's what she is. Oh, Jimmy says, hey all, sending love and peace from the UK. Yes, London. So nice to have a fellow Londoner and a Brit on as well. Let's see here. What's this here? Oh, this is interesting. So Falcon Brit says, I love that one, Susan. Light workers often skip the most important part, doing their own shadow work. Yes, we can meditate all day and still be jerks without dealing with the personal psychology and fears. This is very true. And this is actually what Pluto teaches us. Here I am going on my little tangent here. This is what Pluto teaches us. The shadow of Pluto is the lowest vibration of of all that humanity is capable of. I mean, it's everything. Just you can just think the worst of the worst. Yeah, god of the underworld, Hades, etc. But Pluto isn't just that. Pluto, whenever Pluto is moved into a new sign, he will show where the underbelly is, where the corruption is, where the lowest consciousness needs to be purged and developed. Pluto really is about integration of the shadow, or integration of the id. But this is a difficult process. Like I said, the Pluto is the hardest planet to integrate because he's the most subconscious, especially the outer planets. You know, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto are the most, with Pluto being the most subconscious of them all. Yeah, Uranus is a bit more conscious, but there is a big subconscious element to Uranus as well, where people can sometimes induce shocks and destruction in their life subconsciously. Yeah, because they really want something to change, and they may be avoiding the necessary changes that need to be made. But Pluto is the most subconscious. So Pluto shows, that's why I call him the shaman, or the wizard of wizards. It shows where we need to integrate shadow. And it's very often a part that, as the person was saying, where light workers can overlook. Yeah, Falcon was saying, because it's very painful to integrate the shadow, because we have to admit to our own faults, shortcomings, weaknesses, etc. However, when you do that shadow work, it makes a person very powerful. When one does a shadow work, do you know it's almost impossible blanked. Oh, did you see that? You see that? I was just talking about, yeah, he's probably got his little minions out there trying to interfere with things. But this is the whole point. When the shadow is not integrated, we project onto others and scapegoat others and become blind to our own faults and foibles and hypocrisies, basically. So we know, it's just obvious, isn't it? Particularly those that are part of the strongly into the MAGA cult, that they're projecting. And many people that are now actually seeing the light, in the sense of realizing their mistake. Not all of them, but those that are, they're starting to have a shadow integration moment, because they're having to, the positive side of Pluto is mea culpa. I'm responsible. Yeah, I take responsibility. Look how many people in the world cannot take responsibility for their mistakes and their shortcomings. So when you have the Magatonians that are like, you know, it still needs to be more, but when they go, you know what, I regret, I was just watching some videos, some people saying, you know, I regret voting for Trump. They're starting to have a bit of shadow integration. Do you see? But we all need to do that. Light workers especially, even more so. Anyway, that was a bit of a tangent. Let me just do a quick presentation, screen presentation, because I just want to share some, let's just put this is today's chart, by the way, folks. So we can see over here, this stellium is still big. Yeah. And in fact, Ceres has actually moved in. So as of today, 1st of May, we still have Rahu, Saturn, Venus, Neptune, Mercury, Ceres, and Chiron. So this is a big stellium, guys, and a long-lasting one as well. But it's important, I wanted to focus here, pardon me, on Uranus. You will see that Uranus is at 2 degrees and 10 minutes of sidereal Taurus. So he's still very closely conjunct the star Algol, which sits at 1 degree 10 minutes. So it's only moved, it's still very tightly conjunct. Once it moves beyond 5 degrees, so let's look into the future and then just see, let's do animated transits, keep your eye here, down here on Uranus, and let's see when it starts to get to 5 degrees or more. And I'm going to do that. Let's do this weekly. Let's see. Let's go through the weeks. And you can see, like you can see here, on the 15th of May, the sun will be conjunct the star Algol. But that happens every year. But, you know, there might be, or of course, the sun deals with CEOs, leaders. Yeah, so there might be some big news on the 15th of May. Yeah, to do with the leader, you know, a kind of metaphorical beheading or assassination or someone having to step down. Could this be when Elon finally gets fired from DOGE? That would be a good candidate for that as well, wouldn't it? But something to do with leaders, because that's going to be slap bang on. Or, oh, could the new Pope be chosen by then? Wow. That could be interesting for the new Pope as well, because once they've done conclave and all of that kind of stuff, and then once the Pope is selected, obviously there's kind of like a papal kind of ceremony and coronation. I wonder if that will be happening around that time. Watch this space, folks. But big news on global leaders, likely. Something definitely and connected with the star Algol. But we can see here, Uranus is still at 2 degrees 58 minutes. And it's when it gets to 5 degrees and beyond, that's when the energy will start to lessen. So you still see here weeks from now. Here we are. Once he gets to 518 on the 26th of June, 2025. So it's kind of towards the end of June. That's when that Uranus on Algol energy will still be there, but it should lessen a bit. So there's still going to be quite a lot of shocks and surprises coming, folks. So, yeah, plenty more in the pipeline. I hope you found that interesting. Right, let's get into the next question. Congress and Senate. Nick Minks asks, she says, I may pop in tonight. She was talking about yesterday. We need to know if either Congress or Senate will step up anytime soon. It's disheartening to see that they still side with the dumpster truck. And then I put in brackets, and I put here, Caroline Leavitt did not say no when it came to potentially arresting SCOTUS. So we are in very dangerous times, yeah, and energies. You guys will know that Duck Larange has now created, have you heard this 750-mile border, which is now US military base, and effectively, and if you cross it, then you can be arrested and all of this stuff. And he's trying to basically set things up for martial law. And, you know, Congress, I mean, look, they're part of the reason why we're not seeing anything is because they're part of the cult. He does have Congress. He does also have the Senate. The Senate are also part of the cult as well. Some Democrats are trying, some, but for me, as you know, I've said already, there's a lot of Vaseline Democrats out there that are just greasing the road for this with their silence more than anything. But of course, we have AOC, we have Bernie Sanders, we've got Jasmine Crockett, Pete Buttigieg, certain people stepping up. Even Gavin Newsom, he's having a little strange flirt, isn't he, with people on the right on his podcast. I don't know if he's still doing that now, but I think he might make a bid. He might want to actually take California out of the union. I know that's a radical thing to say, but as you know, I've been predicting this for a long time now, that because it just can't continue like this. And when the rubber really starts hitting the road around 4th of July and beyond, yeah, we're going to see a lot of stuff. Right, let's just look here. All right, Congress. When will they step up? Well, why haven't they been stepping up? I think, yeah, why haven't they been stepping up, really? I think that's more pertinent because they've had plenty of opportunity. Kamala's been making some speeches. That's nice. You know, all she has to do is just run the tape of her interviews, isn't it? That's all she has to do. She made the arguments. Unfortunately, not enough people went with her. Almost, what, 89 million people didn't vote at all. Oh, this is oh, look at this. Look at this. Ah, wow. All right, Congress and Senate. The cards are saying quite strong things here. We have the star card. Now, you know, when I'm reading on politics, my shadow interpretation of this card is what? The narcissist. So this can literally talk about Duck L'Orange. Yeah, as you know, I associate this card with Duck L'Orange. Here he is, front, square, and center. It's because of Trump. Yeah. You know, maybe as well, threats behind the scenes, this, that, and the other. They fear him. He just takes up all the oxygen in the room. They feel kind of dazzled, overwhelmed. His just personality is just dominating everything. But it's also as well, this is also could be talking about the narcissism within as well, Congress and stuff like that, especially on the GOP side. So narcissism is an issue here. If we look here, in the obstacle position, we have the Justice card. Now, I think this is the town halls. This is the town halls. This can also talk about SCOTUS as well. Remember, Caroline Leavitt did not categorically say, when she was asked about the regime arresting that judge, remember they arrested that judge, and he basically said words to the effect of, well, does that mean you're going to arrest SCOTUS as well? And she didn't say no. She kind of skirted around it. She said, well, you know, the law and blah, 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 blah. So could it be that SCOTUS, realizing the danger it is, I mean, they should have realized this from the get-go. I remember making warnings at the time when they declared that effectively that Trump was a king. I said, well, you know, he can turn that against you. Yeah. They say Trump doesn't read, but he does read. We know he does. He reads classified documents, puts them in his bathroom. He even eats them as well. And I bet you any money he's read Machiavelli. He knows about, I'm not saying he's well read. I'm not saying he's not going to start quoting poetry, but he certainly read Mein Kampf and, you know, some of the more controversial books. Let's put it that way. Anyway, SCOTUS is turning up here in opposition to the narcissism, or the how I interpret that star. Isn't that interesting? And then when we look again, why aren't they acting? Look, the devil's back. This came up for Poilievre. So it's the same thing. You see, it's the same energy. It's corruption. It's corruption, guys. Vaseline politicians who are attached to what their status, their position, their money, their income. Yeah, that's what this is, a card of attachment. Yeah, or inappropriate attachments to things. Ah, thank you so much, Sandra, for your kind donation. Much appreciated. So we see here, so look, narcissism, yeah, corruption, attachments. God, I mean, it's quite obvious in a way, isn't it? If we look here, though, we get the King of Swords that is showing up. Now, this talks about an astute, intelligent, incisive intellect. So this shows that look, they do know what's going on. Maybe this could be some of the Democrats. Maybe this is like your Bernie Sanders and your AOCs and your Jasmine Crockett's and stuff. So there is that element of sharpness there. The shadow of this card, though, can deal with cruelty as well, particularly, of course, when it's next to the devil. So there's, there are narcissistic and corrupt people and cruel people there as well. But look at the outcome card. Death. This card is coming up a lot in my readings, a lot. And I was discussing this because it was coming up for the Pope as well. We've, going to be having conclave soon. So there is that energy there. But this is going to require a root and branch transformation, folks. Root and branch transformation. I think when it starts coming close to 4th of July and people start seeing empty shelves, not being able to get stuff, not being able to buy fireworks, or fireworks becoming way more expensive. So people may spend like $500 on fireworks. Say they would spend $500 each year on fireworks, but this time their $500, you know, gets them 15 fireworks, yeah, rather than 50 or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It could be things like that. Especially as well, remember, Duck L'Orange has got rid of that little clause where if items are priced at $800 or less, then they are exempt from tariffs. He's got rid of that. So this is why the prices on Temu and all of this stuff has gone up so much. So a lot of people would have been buying their fireworks from Temu. What are they going to do? He's apparently said as well that when it comes to kids' toys, it'll be like, oh well, they just have to have less this year. Instead of 30 dolls, now they have to have 2. Let me just do a little presentation here so you can see for yourself. Let's do share. And let's go. Let me just find the headshot. Not the headshot. Where is the bit where she's got the Barbie? Where is it? Where is it? There we go. Look. Just press play. They would normally. 1 minute.
Too bad. You're gonna
Duck L'Orange talking. So there we go.
Telling all of us out loud. Too bad. You're gonna have to pay more. Watch.
Somebody said, oh, the shelves are going to be open. Well, maybe the children will have 2 dolls instead of 30 dolls, you know, and maybe the 2 dolls will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally.
Maybe the shelves will be open, empty. Oh, well. Here's the cover of the normally Trump-friendly New York Post. It says it all. Take a look at this. Skimp on the Barbie. Trump admits tariffs will raise some prices, cause shortages. Barbie shortages. That's what we're getting with Trump 2.0. Trump's comment.
You see, it's like his version of let them eat cake. Oops, what have I done? Wouldn't you agree? It's like his version of let them eat cake. Oh, less toys this Christmas. Empty shelves. Oops. This is what happens when a malignant narcissist is allowed to take power. All right, let's go from one malignant narcissist to another. Let's talk about leaky douchebag blowhard, otherwise known as Marjory Taylor Green. Oh, I forgot to do Shakespeare on Poilievre, didn't I? Let's just see what Shakespeare thinks of Poilievre. All right, let's just see here. What does the bard think of Poilievre? What does the bard think of Poilievre? This is from Troilus and Cressida. It said, this is what the bard thinks of Poilievre. Thou bitch wolf's son. Saying he's the son of a bitch wolf. And then on the next page, Love Labour's Loss, it says, take away this villain, shut him up. Oh, the bard never fails. The bard never fails. Thou bitch wolf's son. Wow. And the taking away this villain, shut him up is from Love's Labour's Lost. And bitch wolf's son is from Troilus and Cressida. Wow. All right. MTG. What's going on with her? So Nick Minks again says, Marjory Taylor Green claims Catholic bishops are controlled by Satan. During social media meltdown, do cards show what is going on in her head? She insulted Pope Francis after his death. Why is she so deranged? Because she's a douchebag. She's, like I said, grotesque. It's beyond unpleasant. She's grotesque. She knows what she's doing in terms of raising funds and all of that stuff. And of course, she's an insider trader as well. So she's not completely stupid. She plays, you know, but she's just willfully ignorant and is just, oh, Marjory Taylor Green has just helped bankroll so much of this MAGA BS. But let's see what the cards are. Marjory Taylor Green, leaky douchebag blowhard. What's going on with her? What's going on with her? What's going on with her? Wow. Wow. These cards are very interesting. Wow, and there's 736 of you with me now. Thanks so much for joining me. Look at this. Just dive straight into it. She gets the Tower card. So something is a brewing that she has not seen or is unexpected. I mean, the sun will be on the star Algol on the 15th of May, isn't it? Do you remember, Sarah? It deals with leaders. So we might be having news around conclave or who the new pope is, etc. But there'll be something. And as horrible as she is a leader, of course. Not one that we like at all, but she's now a very prominent figure. Some kind of shock or surprise or change of fortune, something unexpected. This is also the card that I associate with Uranus as well. Yeah, and Uranus is still conjunct that star Algol. So look at the next card that comes out. Wow. 10 of Swords. You don't want to see these two cards together ever. If I was Marjory Taylor Green, I'd be quite worried. I mean, look, this is about betrayal, backstabbings, but it's also about endings. I mean, if you just think what the star Algol talks about assassinations, endings, and stuff like that. Look, she's getting a sudden shock and surprise and being stabbed in the back. I mean, that really could. I mean, I don't wish it, but it could be an attempt on her life, or just something tragic happens, something very tragic, some kind of betrayal. That's not looking good at all. If we look here, we have got the Page of Wands. The Page of Wands pages talk about messages. Wands talk about passion, of course. This is also known as the orator. So it could be connected with something that she says in Congress or to the press or something like that. Or could it be a student? Because I'm thinking, like, who's responsible for this downfall? This can also be the card of students as well, or someone young, someone youthful, energetic. We look here, we have got the Queen of Pentacles. This talks about domesticity, but it talks as well about keeping the money secure. Could it be things? Could there be a shock in regards to her insider trading stuff? With that there, maybe there could be a connection there. Maybe there's a backstab in that way. But then look at the outcome card, another major arcana. She gets the Hermit, which is the card of retreat, you know, or going within, having to do research, stepping back, not being in the public eye. This isn't a public eye kind of card. This can talk about recalibrating, trying to reform a strategy. But it's one about going within, having to take a step back. So it looks like to me there's something coming up which could be shocking around Marjory Taylor Green, where she's either incapacitated, taken out, as in like exit stage left, or something career ending, or just some kind of major kind of betrayal. It could be something quite shocking, seeing these two together. But either way, it certainly requires a retreat, a reflection. I mean, it might even be something. It could just be something that's like an accident or something. I associate this with Uranus. Uranus is also planes, yeah, aviation, stuff like that. So maybe something happens like that. But those aren't great cards, are they, for her? But, you know, I have to say what I see. Right, let's squeeze one more in. Oh, 770 of you here now. So this one, question number 5, which will be the last one this evening. So this is Trump's national security advisor Mike Waltz leaves post. U.S. media reports. BBC News 5:20 p.m. The new series of Apprentice has its first casualty. It's what Nick Mink says. Right. Can cards show how secure the other picks are? Let's see those rocky cards flow out. Oh, that's a good point. At the moment it's Rubio, isn't it? But let's just read on that energy around Mike Waltz. Someone had to be the fall guy, didn't they? Let's just see what's going on. Let's see if we get any more information about who's potentially coming afterwards. Mike Waltz. What's his energy? What's going on around him? Mike Waltz. Might give us some insight into why he was sacked or stood down. Either way, he's leaving. Oh! Aha! Aha! Okay, so this is quite clear. It was to do with the global fallout of Signalgate. America's standing in the world, quite literally. I think the global reaction was also a factor to him either like being sacked or him stepping down. Either way, the opinion of the world was a big factor. Yeah, because of the global impact of Signalgate. You know, it was extraordinarily embarrassing as well for the US government in the eyes of the world, yeah, which diminished a lot of America's standing in the world. It's just outrageous. It's just completely and utterly outrageous. If we look here in the obstacle position, although technically the world card is a positive card, but if we look here, this is the card of the GOP, isn't it? How often have we seen this come out? So I think this is also to do with the donors. Those are the ones, the power base that is really holding the GOP together. I don't think they were very pleased with what happened, particularly as well. It's not just that they were using that, it's the fact that they copied in a journalist as well. I mean, you can't make it up. Mercury was retrograde at the time. Remember that as well. Mercury is communications journalism, or things going wrong with communications. That's when that Signalgate came out. Very close to the eclipse. Yeah, Venus was retrograde, Mercury is retrograde, Saturn was about to come in. And they're also planets of economy. And we've seen the economy has already contracted by 0.3% in this quarter. Imagine the next quarter. If we see here, he's got the Hanged Man, which we know this card can also be what? The willing sacrifice. Yeah. So we can see here, he was sacrificed to keep the other douchebags in. But it also shows as well that Mike Waltz has had a bit of a change of perspective as well. Yeah, change of perspective. Maybe he just couldn't do it anymore. I have a feeling there might be a mutual aspect to this. If we look here, look, Two of Wands is so clear, isn't it? Aren't the cards amazing? Aren't the cards amazing? He has been what? Given to the ambassador to the UN, which deals with the globe, United Nations. Wands, yeah, I call this the card of speculation. Yeah, Two of Wands, making decisions, stuff like that. So he's looking at his new role. Yeah, he's looking at his new role, United Nations. He's probably looking forward to that because he's going to be dealing with sane people that are sane. Let's not forget the Duck Larange's voodoo. He can just turn almost anyone crazy. But isn't that remarkable, isn't it, that that has come up like that? Let me just read that again because the cards were just so perfect. So reading back Lucy's comment, hi Hogarth, National Security Advisor. Waltz has been moved from his position to the ambassadorship to the UN. Yeah, boom, bang, right there in the cards. And then the outcome card, it gets the High Priestess. Now, this is a card that talks about intrigues, of course, intrigues, espionage, secret plans, etc. So, of course, he's still probably going to be Machiavellian. But this can also be a card as well of calling in more spirituality, scripture, stuff like that. I'm not going to give him maybe quite that credit. However, there is this change of perspective. I think in terms of him being moved there, it's also to gather information. And I think I think the Trump administration wants him to gather more stuff on stuff to do with tariffs and stuff like that. Yeah, because this is the UN. So again, it's a global, literally global level position. And look, and the world card as well. So it's in a way, it's a big step up for him. He's probably relieved, to be honest. I don't think he deserves it, but I think he's relieved. I think he's relieved. He's probably actually going to quite like it there. His cards are actually quite positive, but he's still that snake in the grass. Yeah, still that snake in the grass. He'll be they'll be wanting him to give intelligence, obviously, back to the US government. Anyway, I think I will leave it there because I've gone on long enough. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me this evening. 760 of you tonight. Very, very nice. Thank you. And let's just see here. And then Sheila's saying, I'm very involved and I'm talking to others to get involved. So, oh, and here, oh, Travel Goddess says, Hogarth, what do you see for the future of Jasmine Crockett? Hopefully we can soon get rid of the tangerine turd. Let's, you know what, I'll do a one card pull. Let's just go off the cuff and just Jasmine Crockett future. Jasmine Crockett future. Let's see what the cards have to say. There she go. What's her future? Jasmine Crockett future. Jasmine. Hopefully she gets a positive card. Let's have a look. Oh, she does. Wish fulfillment. Yeah. She gets wish fulfillment. So I would say that she suggests she's got a bright future there. Whatever it is she's gunning for, she's probably most likely going to get it. And then Talon saying, Ambassador, like he won't slip secret talks onto another, chatting app. Yeah, sure. And like Hegsev, not the bigger jabbermouth. Yeah, exactly. Isn't it funny? So you obviously would have written that down before I pulled my cards, because this is much higher up in the chat. Let's see here. Oh, the chat's so interesting. Jerry's saying, yes, spirit animal, still amazed that PP got as many votes as he did. Yeah, which is Pierre Poilievre. Let's see what else. And then, oh, Angela says, please can you pull a card to see if Louis Tagle will become the next pope? Is he the American one? Let me just kind of, I'm going over a bit here. Louis Tagle. Oh, actually, 1 minute. Look, I'm just going to share. It looks like he's Filipino. So if we go here. So this is Luis and Antonio. How does Tagle or Tagle, maybe? Let's take a look. Let's do a one card pull on that. Let me stop share there. See what his chances are. Oh, one card fell out. I'd have read it, but it was too many. One card pull. Good card for Jasmine Crockett, though, wasn't it, Lewis? Let's see here. What's he getting? Oh, gets the strength card. Ooh, maybe his chances might be pretty good with that. I'm going to take it quite literally and be in the sense that he is a strong contender. We'll have to see whether or not he gets it, but he's certainly a strong contender. So I will leave that there. Let's just see here. And then someone, Layla, is saying, can't believe certain people think that being cruel and mean to others are based on something Jesus would do, and that would actually come from their higher power. It's more like the lower power. Oh, indeed, absolutely. Because it's all projection, because again, their shadow is not integrated. Let's just see here. And then Nick Minksy saying, I just thought, Pope, you said there could be a big change to that, or maybe Putinshka gets shoved out a window. We'll see, but it's probably going to be something big with the, particularly with the sun being exactly on Algol on that day. Yeah, on the 15th, May 15th, it will be exactly there. The sun is leadership. So we might have several stories, but I will leave it there for now. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. Thank you as well for your donations, for liking and subscribing and all that jazz. And watch out for my video on Saturday, my reflections. So we'll be looking at that, why stupid people rise to power. And then maybe again, looking at something interesting going on in the world, and tell you a bit more about my plans for Ibiza as well, and retreats and courses and all of that kind of stuff. So lots to discuss. So that's a goodbye from me for now. So I hope you have a lovely evening. If you've not had a chance yet to see Hogelish, then please go back and have a look at that and watch this, of course. And you will see me soon. All right. So big love to everyone, and catch you soon. Interesting times, eh? Algol is not done yet, folks. So remember, May 15th. It also as well could be a day or two before and a day or two after. The sun moves 1 degree every day, but on the 15th, he is bang on Algol. Sun is leadership. So let's see what other surprises could be in the pipeline. All right. Bye-bye for now. Cheers.